I've been struck by how important the legacy of having been a county government still is for this organization. There's some deep history here and some roots that I couldn't fully appreciate as a newcomer. And I think one important implication is a need to really appreciate what Eileen's saying, that there are all of a sudden a lot of groups that have no more or less standing or legitimacy than you guys. So it's an important time to figure out what the real merits are. There's no entitlement in this game anymore, and so it's important to figure out, well, what is your role?
We haven't had a very strong executive function for a very long time.
Yeah.
So that means over and over again when we were out there, we heard about calls that were made and never returned, or requests that were made and never answered. And so the sense that we have lost our mojo, that we're, as one person said, floundering, I think is partly a result of there not being a phone that answers and gets a response immediately, and an executive who's out there going to meetings and building bridges.
We envision a Pioneer Valley prosperous with excellent quality of life, known around the world for being a wonderful place to live. And if we have this shared vision that we all agree on, then we can start figuring out what we're going to do to get there. It might even be interesting to think about, developing our local people as far as civic engagement, public leadership. There was a mention that the counselors are pretty similar in demographics, and we want to develop a more diverse base, and that'd be an interesting thing, I think, for us to get engaged with.
The inspection program, the objectives are really to increase participation, to get more information out to the public about the program, and to get towns more involved with the inspection program. And part of the problem we're realizing with that is with a lot of towns, it's giving up local control. We're talking about adding additional programs, having an overall inspection department or program or whatever. And under that, adding other things such as a plumbing inspector, electrical, gas, weights and measures. So what we would be doing is taking in more money, adding more towns, and enhancing the services.
The way our program is set up now is the assessment fee disconnect. The way our program is set up presently, our assessment to the town is based on each town's percentage of use of my hours for the prior year. They are then billed through the assessment for what I did the past year. I put in the time payment, and they always forget that fees came in to pay that bill. My suggestion is if we look at the Hcog plan, the way they do it is towns are assessed based not on the hours worked, but on the fees collected the prior year. The towns may then have some way of connecting that, oh yes, we did collect this money, and here's what we have to pay for it, rather than the hours that I work.
Can I preface by saying that there's way more planning than we can do in 15 minutes for probably any of these programs.
Yes, that may be a bookmark, but you're definitely...
So we can hit on a couple of things and more later.
The objective of the electricity program is to be a local competitive supplier in Western Mass with the best and most reasonable prices, to also have one of the objectives was also to have a green energy program, and eventually through our municipal aggregation program to share in the energy reimbursements that utilities are receiving at this point. If we are going to continue, when we do have a surplus, to use that surplus to help other programs or to reinvest in the electricity program. And that's a question I think I'd like everybody to keep in their mind about. It's maybe not an either or, it may be just a both. But that was something that we also discussed.
So is that one of those issues that needs to be worked out
At a subsequent session. Some of the tasks ahead for us, obviously, is the municipal aggregation program specifically. Also, in purchasing our electricity, We need to look at, and we have talked about a consultant, and we have looked into some brokers and consultants, how to purchase electricity in that we are not taking the biggest liability through the real-time market. In addition, how to reduce other financial liabilities. One of those being our financial assurance to the ISO. We're in a very good shape right now, but with growth, we will be getting to a point where we will have to consider that. Also, the RECs, the Renewable Energy, Renewable Portfolio Standards, compliance, how we can possibly get that. Jeff and I talked about this. I think I talked to Joe Kearns about this. Possibly waived for us being a municipal or a governmental entity. In addition, how to educate public and consumers about green energy and conservation.
The question that we had was, well, what do the towns need? What are they doing and what do they need? We feel like we don't know. So that's our jumping off point. And you could talk about.
So one of the things that we thought was that we really needed to go back and interview some of the key stakeholders in these communities, and that we could probably, and we needed to have a survey to do that. And we thought that we probably could come up with a summer intern. I was struck by one of the videos, the YouTube video with Belchertown's focus group, and Judy Metcalf said that one of the things that towns need is someone to focus both, to help them work together and to go after the money, so that kind of collaborative as well as around a particular program need, and the person who can help them together.
You do a very successful job here at the beginning, but what we really think we need to do is make it larger, increase our amount of material that we can put out for bid, or increase the number of towns which we can bring in to purchase from us. And we determined the only way to do that, we gotta have a salesman, we have somebody who can actually go out and sell our programs to the individual towns, not necessarily the ones we belong to, but other ones who do not belong to us, and go along. And because right at the moment we do a huge school bid, we do milk, we do asphalt, we do all kinds of things in which compete very well with Lower Primary Valley and the state bid on many things.
There are many non-member town participants even beyond the range of just the county geographical borders, and then the other is $8 million in sales in terms of the bids that are presented each year. So both of those are, to me, real measures of success.
Sometimes I have a pretty different opinion from the stakeholders. That wasn't the case here. Outreach internally, outreach beyond the region, and Beacon Hill, and so in Washington. Sort of a vision and related to that analytic ability in order to create a sum that's greater than the parts, to give an identity to the organization, as you were getting at, and an ability to manage in terms of budgeting among the programs. The dynamics among the projects is pretty nuanced. So those are the features I would look for, and I would also emphasize graduating from this legacy of being a county government. It's trying to be a really modern, agile
business.
Yeah. I would say social enterprise in that sense.
I wonder if all of us, if we do a little straw poll, does everybody think that sounds good? That sounds like a pretty good description.
Yeah.
So maybe we start from there and then see if people have things to add.
I would like to see that whoever it is who is hired be somebody who is a really good communicator. And not only somebody who can communicate well, but somebody who does take a lot of energy to make sure that he or she knows what all of you guys are about and what all of we are doing.
And then gets it done.
Yeah, and helps guide us toward our goals.